DC Africa celebration has fast become one of the district's most anticipated cultural events, drawing thousands of attendees and artistly working to unify diverse communities in DC through African art, history, music, all while showcasing the burgeoning contributions of the African immigrant community to the District of Columbia. So this year, 2013, marks the second year of the Mayor's proclamation of September as African Heritage Month. That is so important. And of course, simultaneously, it actually marks the 50th anniversary of the Organization of African Unity, which is better known as the African Union. So today we're joining governments and organizations and communities in neighboring jurisdictions and around the world to celebrate this very historic moment for Africans by promoting the official theme of the AU, which is Pan-Africanism and global renaissance in the 21st century. At the local level, this theme ties very seamlessly with Mayor Vincent C. Gray's governing philosophy of one city, where we all envision a city in which all residents live, work, and thrive together. And it further echoes the DC Mayor's Office on African Affairs Multicultural Awareness Program, which aims to promote multicultural awareness, understanding, and solidarity, and connectedness among all the diverse communities of the District of Columbia. So in honor of these two very historic milestones, this year's DC African Heritage Celebration will feature an award ceremony where we are honoring 7 exceptional leaders in the African community here in DC. We're so excited about that. And I should actually even go on about that piece. This year, we actually moved our format. Most of you also know our festival, our DC Africa Festival that we have annually. We moved it into an indoor space in order to have a more focused program, and for the very reason of actually really showcasing leaders in the African community here in DC. So it's so important for us to really have added that component to our program and really showcase and highlight the wonderful, exceptional contributions that the African immigrant community leaders that we'll highlight today are giving back to our community. Of course, we have live performances and an eclectic lineup from a wide range of different music genres, and we have live art right here on stage, or at least near the stage, where we'll be doing live art throughout the program. And of course, we have our recount survey, which we launched 2 years ago. And we encourage our community members here in DC to actually complete the demographic survey. It's basically our way of collecting immigrant or African immigrants in DC, whether they own businesses or community-based organizations. It's about collecting that information to make sure that this community is counted. One of the main issues around demographic data with the African immigrant community is that on the bicentennial census level, information is not collected according to country of origin or, of course, language spoken, which sometimes makes it so that, or all the time makes it, I should say, so that the African immigrant community is actually subsumed into the African American ethnic group or the Black race. Now, most Africans are Black, it's fine, but what happens is, on its face, it looks as if this community is monolithic and homogenous, and it really hides the cultural and linguistic diversity that exists within that community. So the We Count survey is our response to this kind of gap that we see within demographic surveys, so that it's so important for us to encourage our community members to fill that out. Okay, so of course there are lots of thank yous in order. I mean, it's just been a wonderful experience pulling this together. I've worked with a wonderful team, and of course with the support and the leadership of Mayor Vincent C. Gray, who we'll hear a little bit from in a bit. But we want to thank him so much. He's been so supportive. He's been so supportive, and of course proclaiming September as African Heritage Month, and of course just generally his leadership and his guidance and his tenacity in really moving the city forward. So I'd like to thank him first and foremost. And of course our wonderful partners, the DC Commission on Arts and Humanities, Director Lionel Thomas, who's sitting right here in the front row, I don't know if he wants to wave. He's been wonderful to work with. The DC Office on Human Rights, under the leadership of Gustavo, but I know he has a delegate here. Thank you so much. The Office of Community Affairs, my boss, Director Sleeve Gaudet, who's always so hands-on. I'm sure he's right over here. Thank you so much, Steve. So at this time, I want to go ahead and introduce the Mistress of Ceremonies, Ndimaki Malewekwe. Ndimiyaki has been a TV and radio reporter for Voice of America for more than 10 years, and currently she reports for Africa 54, a daily TV broadcasting in Africa. Ndimiyaki has a strong interest in Africa and Africans, and of course other regions of the world. And she works tirelessly to address issues of concern in the audience, particularly those of women, children, and people with disabilities. Ndimiyaki was born in Tanzania. Okay. So at this time, I'd like to welcome the mayor, Mayor Vincent C. Gray, to the podium. Mayor Vincent C. Gray has been wonderfully supportive of the Office on African Affairs and the African community in general. He's been a visionary, a leader, and really a support system for making us move things forward and drive the city in a positive direction. His presence here today really signifies his support for the community. And I should mention that this year is actually the fourth year that the mayor has actually attended the annual DC Africa celebration. So it's important to clarify that since its inception in 2010, so that's extremely important. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Mayor Vincent C. Gray to the podium, a man who I have a tremendous amount of respect for.
Thank you very much, Ngozi. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the historic Howard Theater. This is one of our great venues here in the District of Columbia, the place where so many historic musicians have played, and I've been here for a lot of their performances. How many people have heard of the great James Brown? You know, I saw James Brown do something here once that was just unbelievable. There was an entire band up on this stage, and he was singing. And so he told all the band members to stop playing and just move out of their seats. And he then proceeded to move through every seat in the band and played every instrument there was in the band. It was the most unbelievable experience I've ever had at a musical performance. And that's what this theater is. This theater is historic. And isn't it wonderful to be able to have this event tonight here in the historic Howard Theater? This is our fourth annual. And I can't wait till we celebrate our 14th and then our 24th. And you know what? We will be celebrating those because I'm very proud of what Ngozi has done. I'm proud of our Office of African Affairs. And I am proud that we are a city that is becoming increasingly diverse and welcomes our African immigrant community here into the District of Columbia. It also was wonderful to hear about the 50th anniversary of the formation of the Organization of African Unity. 1963 was one heck of a year, man. It was the year that the greatest speech ever given was given. That was, of course, the I Have a Dream speech by Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. It was the year when the Voting Rights Act in this country, and obviously it was the year also when the Organization of African Unity was formed. It wasn't that a great year, ladies and gentlemen? You know, you all heard it earlier. I was listening to Ngozi when she talked about the fact that now 10% of the African immigrant community is in the Washington, D.C. area. Some 150,000 people living in the metropolitan Washington area of African descent. And right here in our nation's capital now, 16,000 people. And we are going to continue to grow, ladies and gentlemen. We have 30% of our African community in the District of Columbia is Ethiopian, 14.5% Nigerian, 12% from Cameroon, 5% from Ghana, and 5% from Sierra Leone. Can we all give it up for Africa, ladies and gentlemen? You know, we're here to honor some people tonight who've done some pretty extraordinary things. So I just wanted to be here to be a part of it. I wanted to be here to support Ngozi. I wanted to support Steve Glaudet, who heads our Office of Community Affairs, and under which the Office of African Affairs falls, as well as some of our other offices. I know our Director of the Office of Human Rights, Gustavo Velasquez, is here tonight. We're proud that he is here. And I see two of our other leaders here also. Nick Majette from the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs, and David Burns from our Department of Human Services. Stand up and be recognized, gentlemen. And would you join me now in something that I am excited to do, and that is to recognize that September is African Heritage Month in the District of Columbia. I am not going to read all the whereases, but I am going to read the last part, and that is, as mayor of the District of Columbia, I am proud to proclaim September 2013 as African Heritage Month in the District of Columbia, and call upon everybody who lives in this city to recognize us all across our nation's capital. Come on, everybody, stand up and support African Heritage Month.